Welcome to another exciting episode of Many Hats of Business, the podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Gordon, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. On this podcast, we explore the realities of business and the many hats we have to wear. I'll be speaking to some fantastic business owners about their journey to where they are today in the hope that they inspire you to go through the tough times so that you get to relish the rewards having your own business can bring. Before we jump in, a quick reminder to subscribe, rate and leave a review if you enjoy what you hear. Your support means the world to us and helps Many Hats of Business, the podcast, reach even more curious minds like yours. Alright, let's get started. Get ready to be entertained, informed and inspired. This is Many Hats of Business, the podcast. Hi Chris, great to have you with us today. Can you start by introducing yourself to the listeners, please?
Lovely, thanks Tanya. Thanks for inviting me on, first of all. So my name's Chris London from 2222 Marketing. We're a social media marketing agency based in Nottingham. We help clients with outsourced social media management, ads management across all of the social media platforms and Google Ads management as well.
Fantastic. And how long have you been in this business?
In the social media business, 6-7 years. In the self-employed era, I would say, because I don't think of the right word, since 2010. So, but yeah, that was in a completely different industry.
And I'd love you to tell us about that industry because I already do know you, don't I, really? So I know a bit about what your journey is to where you are today. And I think it's a fantastic story to be able to share with others about the whole evolution of things. And sometimes, you know, people are going to enter the self-employed world or the business world and kind of feel like that's like what they're going to do forever. And it's not always the case, is it? You know, things do evolve. And your story is a great example of that.
Yeah, so back in 2010, I qualified as a driving instructor. So I worked for a franchise for about 4 months and then thought I can do this myself. So I set up my own driving school in Leicester. After a while, we started advertising. I started off doing some advertising in the Leicester Mercury newspaper. So really old school. Most driving instructors tend to have a bit of an old school way of advertising still. So and then we sort of tested Google Ads, and then I started with sort of Facebook ads and organic posting on there, because at the time that was where the demographic of audience was. We could target people who wanted to become driving instructors as well, and that's where that business started to grow from. So we started taking on instructors, took on instructors in Leicester, Birmingham, Walsall, Wolverhampton, Dudley, West Brom, and into Lincolnshire as well. And at that time, then I got a little bit worried that I'd put all my eggs in one basket, that everything was coming through Facebook, and what if, God forbid, Facebook shut itself down and we couldn't do anything? Now, obviously, we know that it hasn't shut itself down, it's still going, but you do always worry if you've got all your eggs in one basket. So I started teaching driving theory at local colleges to get my name out there. Then my pupils started saying, oh, can you teach us driving theory? So I was like, yeah, no worries. So I started teaching them. And then I thought, actually, there's a bigger market for this. So I wrote an online course called the Driving Theory Workshop, and I self-taught myself Facebook ads and Facebook advertising to sell it. And the plan was always only ever to do a couple of £100 a month, just to give me an extra day off as a driving instructor so I could spend time at home with the kids. But it really took off. So we've done up to now just over 16,000 course sales for the Driving Theory Workshop. At the time, it meant I stepped away from being a driving instructor because we were getting about 30,000 messages a day, which I was answering all myself, which was a
lot,
a little bit, a little bit mind-boggling. Spent all day on my phone, which surprisingly you can't do as a driving instructor. You can't spend all day on your phone. So I stepped away from being a driving instructor. I was making a lot more money through the online courses. So then I automated it all so that, you know, we use ManyChat, so we could have a bot answer the majority of the questions that people have, which then freed up a lot of my time. So then I started helping driving instructors with their social media marketing to help their driving schools grow. And it sort of panned from there, really. So it was, you know, can you help my friend next door who's a builder, was the next one. And then there was a mortgage advisor, can you help them? And I thought, there's a bigger market for this we can do. We don't need to know the industry inside out. We know how to do the marketing for it. We know how to find the pain points of the clients. So the principles of what we need to do are the same. It's just a different audience and different message. So that was where it all started. And we then launched Chris London Online, which was this same business, but at the start. And then it's evolved from there. Lockdown did us a favor in the fact that the world went online. We became very busy. We took on staff. And and then recently this year, only a couple of months ago, rebranded the business to be 2222 Marketing as the business continues to grow. So my background very much comes from having been there and done it for myself, know what works and doesn't work, from trying it and testing it myself.
I mean, from what you've just said, there is so much to unpick of like the brilliance of this evolution. And it's really interesting because when you were doing the driving instructing as well, you started to do it for other people, like they came and was the drivers for your company. And I think it's worth pointing out that, isn't it, that you'd recognised at that point that some of those people driving instructors, they don't want to do all the business side. And I think it is like that thing that a lot of people, they come into business, so they would have gone to be self-employed driving instructors because they want to be a driving instructor, not because they wanted to advertise and get clients and things like that. And so right from at that point, in essence, you were helping people with the marketing of their service. You weren't doing it by marketing them. They were working for you. But now you do the exact same thing, don't you? You're advertising people's services for them because you know what you're doing and they don't want to do it. And it's, I guess with your clients, you've got quite a divide of people that don't want to do it, haven't got the time to do it, or don't know how to do it and don't want to learn it.
Yeah, they pretty much fall into those exact categories. So I haven't got the time to do it myself. I don't want to because I don't like social media, but I understand there's a need. I just don't have the knowledge to do it myself, or all three. So, but they do tend to fall into those. A lot of it is time. With your business owners are, like you said, they're busy either teaching driving lessons or doing the plumbing or whatever it is, whatever that skill that they've got is, but as a business owner, you've got to spin a lot of plates. You've got to be the accountant.
Or wear a lot of hats, Chris. Wear
many hats, yeah. I should have plugged that, but So it's true, isn't it? You end up being everything in your business and you have to outsource certain parts of it, and marketing's a massive part of that.
Yeah, it's one of the things I massively talk about in businesses. You need to try and get a base understanding of stuff, but some of it can be very surface level, just to get that good relationship of when you're outsourcing or delegating that, having that understanding to be able to get those good relationships. And the other thing is, really, before you start paying for advertising, which obviously is what you're helping people with your Facebook ads and your Google ads, you need to have validated your offer, really, don't you? Because otherwise it can be, you spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money in trying to validate your offer. Whereas if you can do that organically first, then you're good to hit the ground running with your ads, don't you?
Yeah. And this is one of the I actually did a video on this exact thing this morning. So, and it was about the fact, say again, sorry.
I said weird because you just talked as well about having all your eggs in one basket, and I did a post about that yesterday.
So I literally did a short video this morning about the fact that paid ads shouldn't be there to replace organic content. It actually should be there to amplify the organic content. So you look at what's working organically. Okay, that works. That offer works. And now I'm going to add fuel to the fire, so to speak. But if there's nothing there in the first place, then it's not going to work. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if I just do some paid ads, I haven't got to post any content anymore. So I'll just run paid ads for a few months and I haven't posted on my business page for the last 3 months. Well, actually, people need to still see that you're active organically as well. So, it definitely needs to be used as an amplification. And that's when I launched my driving theory course. We didn't run ads until we were doing about £1,500 a month through organic sales. And then mainly as well down to the fact that at that time, I wouldn't have been able to afford to just chuck money on ads for something that, wasn't bringing any money in. So I needed to make some money from it first. And then I could go, okay, well, some of that money that I'm making organically, I can put into ads. And we started on a very small ads budget, £5 a day. See what we get for £5 a day, yet we're getting a return on ad spend. So now we'll reinvest it again. We'll go up to £10 a day. And over a period of time, we moved it to about £240 a day, I think, was when it was at its peak. But at that time, it was doing sort of £700-800 a day worth of sales, which for a digital product, which had no overheads other than the ad cost, is perfect. So, but you'd never start at that level because you don't know if it's going to work, and two, I never had that money at that time to be able to just chuck a massive budget down.
And I suppose for you, because at that time you didn't do this service for other people, you were learning it. This was like your journey with Facebook ads is that perfect journey of someone that was doing it themselves, wasn't it? And gradually learning and evolving with that until you've built up to such a level that you have to help other people because we do not know what we're doing.
And it's not all rosy, and that's the point. And I think that helps as well because I can resonate with people. I know what it means when people first put that first couple of £100 down on ads. It means a lot to people. They need to see that return on ad spend. At the time, I was going through a divorce, so every penny that I made, every penny I spent on advertising, it had to make something back. But you will get months where, in the driving theory course, January is such a busy time for us because everybody has the New Year's resolution. I'm going to pass my driving test this year, so we get a load of sales. December, people have got other priorities to be spending the money on rather than buying a course because they think, well, I'm not going to take my theory test at the minute anyway. So, and you go through these peaks and troughs, and when you've been there and done it, you can say to the client, it's all right, like, this is okay. We're expecting this to happen. This is what's going to happen. Because I've been in that situation where you do think, oh God, is this working? I've been in those situations. So then we can reassure our clients that actually this is just part of the process. It will get there.
And it is very data driven what you do as well, isn't it? And you've got to analyze that data coming back in. And I suppose it's like, wouldn't you know that realistically December's not a great month? You can go, well, we might as well drop the ad spend a bit in December because it's not going to, necessarily convert quickly. Or it's people they remember and come back later anyway.
Yeah, that's it. So we actually, the temptation, at the start, it was very much like that. Okay, well, let's drop the ad spend down because it's quite as high. Now we suck it up. But I'm in a position where because we know that if we drop the ad spend, January won't be as good. Mm-hmm. Whereas if we stay in people's minds, they're not ready to buy at the minute, but they will be ready in January. And that pool of people that we retarget in January will be bigger. So we'll get a bigger reward in January from it. But back then I would have been more like, oh no, we need to bring it down but that's just experience and also knowing your industry for being a number of years and budgets. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it, about retargeting ads? I know I've said stuff to you before about it, but retargeted ads can be amazing, can't they? Like one point recently, I was looking at a yellow car because I will have a yellow car one day, much to my husband's delight. I've always wanted a yellow car. And I was looking at this particular yellow car, and then they start, and I was on their website, completely not linked to Facebook. I searched it on Google, and then my Facebook ad started for my beautiful yellow car. Be like, wow, and it's brilliant, isn't it? And in fact, a remarkable, you've got a remarkable, I've got a remarkable. Everyone should have a remarkable. But they did like a little ad, and because you clicked on the thing and started looking at the comments, well, then they stalk you till you buy it. And in the end, I had to actually select, I've bought this, leave me alone.
Yeah. But I think Remarkable are actually one of the best at doing it, because when I started, because I obviously, my first thing was that I just put a post up on social media, I think, just saying, does anybody got one? Is it any good? And then you have a look, but they've got their remarketing perfect. It gives you, almost like little stories of Joe Bloggs went and bought this, and then there's another ad that shows you the features of it, and they are one of the best that I've seen at remarketing. Facebook's so powerful in being able to remarket to people. Like you said, you can go on from Google on a website. If they've got a Facebook pixel on that website, it can drag that information back into Facebook and show you your adverts. There's no bigger platform.
Talk you at your leisure.
Yeah, that's it. So, and what it knows, it will come up to my wife's birthday or something, and it will start showing me like gift ideas based off stuff that she's been looking at, or and it is so clever how it works. I mean, there is no bigger platform for being able to target people based off interest. I think Facebook's got 400,000 data points on the average person. That's a crazy amount of data that it's got on you, but and people will go, oh, that's scary, and it probably is a little bit, but it's also great for being able to get your message in front of the right people. You just got to get that right message and then get it in front of those people. And they might not be ready to buy today, but they might be ready to buy the next time they get paid or whenever.
Yeah, and the touch points over the years have gone up, haven't they? Now I think you probably have a more accurate figure on this than me, but I work on a figure that someone's got to see you 27 times before they buy. And it does depend on the market, because when I do my blogging to rank workshop, I talk about how no one's ever walked past an ice cream van 27 times and decided to buy on a hot day. So it does depend a bit on what it is you're selling, but it's more, people have got to see you more times and know, like, and trust you before they buy compared to in the past. So if you're sticking an ad in front of them and that's another one of those times, it's really going to help, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it comes down to price point as well. So, if something's on, again, say that driving theory course, it's 25 to 30 quid, depending on which one you buy. People will take a bit of a punt on that. They'll buy it and think if it's rubbish, which it isn't. If it's rubbish, I've wasted 25 quid. If you're selling something, your coaching program at £1,000, there's going to be more thought process on that. So you're going to need more touch points. And this is one of the mistakes that people make with Facebook ads, is that they'll go, okay, well, I've got to pick my objective now. So is it, I want brand awareness, engagement, traffic, or do I want sales? Well, I want sales for my £1,000 course. So I'll click sales. Well, ultimately, is someone going to buy off you one advert? Probably not. So we've got to warm these people up. So it might be that we run a video views campaign to start off with, where we're just giving it tips and advice, so that we're educating people, showing the value, and then we can have multiple touch points, which then lead to the point where we're going to have a sale. Whereas, like I say, with my online course, we do have some ads that just run straight for the advert, and they're profitable. So straight for the sale, sorry, and they're profitable because it's a lower price point. So I think that plays a big factor in it as well.
Yeah, that is really interesting, isn't it? And like you say, if you're doing a higher ticket, an ad for a higher ticket item, then you do need to keep upping your organic game as well, don't you? Because like you say, it's people, they might not necessarily, they might click through the ad, which is fine, but equally they might go and do a bit of stalking themselves on you to see what you're about and follow that way before they buy. And if you've then not posted anything, they're going to be a bit dubious, depending on what you're selling, about your legitimacy.
Yeah, that's it. And, take your yellow car for an example. Is you'd love to be in a position to be able to impulse buy that and just go and buy it straight off that. But they're going to have to remarket. I mean, I'm not sure what car it is, but, they're going to have to multiple remarket to you until...
It is a Lotus, and I can't remember the price on it. It's an electric Lotus, and I am not going to impulse buy an electric Lotus. Definitely not.
They're going to need a lot of remarketing, probably a lot more than the 27 times that we just talked about. But
yeah, plus they're going to have to wait until, I'm not actually doing it as this next car. It's going to be the one after, so they've got to wait a few years as well. And then as soon as someone else hasn't bought it, I do one. Interestingly, though, when I did buy a Tesla for the first time, I did that online, and you couldn't, at the time I bought a Tesla Model 3, and there weren't any to test drive. So I bought it online without having saw it. That was in back end of 2018, I think, and that was really weird. And then to do the bank transfers for this car, and they basically gave you 7 days guarantee that if you don't like it, we'll have it back. But that was odd. So sometimes weird things do happen in the world.
Yeah, but it's interesting, like you said, they gave you that offer of, try it for 7. It's a bit like Remarkable, in a way, that we mentioned. I can't remember what they do, but they do like try it for, you buy it. If you don't like it after 30 days, you send it back, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what the figures are on people who do.
I have seen a few comments on Facebook and stuff where people have sent them back. And I think even when you look through their comments, it's Marmite. Some people just hate it. And I think, now the price on them is quite expensive, isn't it? And I think it is that thing of, for some people, they don't want it enough. And one of the things I really like about it is the fact it doesn't kind of connect to the internet and you can't get distracted and things like that. That's one of the things I particularly like. Whereas for some people, they're like, well, use an iPad because then you get that as well. And you're like, yeah, but that doesn't do that for me because I'd be distracted. One of the things when we were talking then as well about organic content, and just before we were talking, you were saying to me about a blog post you've done, and we've completely gone onto a different thread here, but a blog post you did recently that's getting a massive number of hits in a day, aren't you? With your talking about what you can do organically as well, and bringing people into your world. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because you were saying to me that it's a really random thing in your mind that's bringing people into your world, isn't it?
Yeah. So after doing your workshop, I obviously started doing a few blogs. We just had a new website actually, because it's for the driving theory course. We've got a landing page, but it's just an online course platform. But I wanted to have a more professional website, and obviously wanted to blog for it. So I did have a look. We looked on Answer the Public to see what people were searching for, and one of the top searches was how long does a theory certificate last? So basically, how long does it last? Have you got to pass practical after having it? Otherwise, you'll have to resit it. And I thought, okay, well, the answer to that's 2 years. It's not really masses to write about, but padded it out a little bit and wrote some different
subject. You do need to be padding it out really to like 600 words. And like you say, 2 years is 2 words. So to get from 2 words to 600.
I can't even remember how I padded it out now. I'm going to have to have a look afterwards. But and I think I posted that around November time, and it trickled a few impressions. Nothing to write home about. And then in January time, I just thought I'd have a look on the search console and just see. And there was a big spike on the thing. And we had started blogging other stuff more regularly as well. But it seems to have just spiked in January. And we've probably been getting about 1,300 impressions a day on that blog post now. And if you think the people who are searching that are learner drivers or parents of learner drivers, so they're pretty much our audience. It's not random at all, and it's bringing people in. And then, as we mentioned before, we can Facebook pixel on there, which we can then retarget these people and show. So then we're getting a better audience. So we're bringing them in organically to start off with, and then we're utilizing Facebook to keep in their minds, because some of them will buy it straight away, and some people.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point, isn't it? That now your return on investment on your ad spend is going to be much more effective, because the people you're retargeting are not just, perhaps some of them might have been before an age demographic that you might have been targeting, but now they're actually people that have searched for a thing that's specific to get to your site and found you that way. So that's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, initially, obviously, we were just running a Facebook ad to a cold audience of people and then retargeting to that warm audience of people. Now, what we've got is still a Facebook audience of cold with a retarget, but then we've also got now this blog audience of people that are going into the retarget as well, and that's costing us nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a little bit of website hosting and stuff like that, but ultimately nothing compared to actual ad spend. So organic's still a massive part of, and you do need multiple touch points like we mentioned, but in different places. Like we've got email marketing for it, we've got the blogs, we've got the website, we've got Facebook ads, TikTok, Instagram, all of that feeding in.
Yeah, because interestingly, a lot of your demographic, I know you do get people that pass their driving tests older, but a lot of them are young people, aren't they? So you have to move with all of the trends, because, my stepson's 14 now, and he said something about Facebook the other, well, no, in fact, Instagram. I said, oh yeah, I don't follow you on Instagram. And he said, oh, I don't really go on there anymore. I've gone to TikTok. And it just made me laugh, because that's what happens, isn't it? The young people that, oh no, Facebook's not cool. Well, now Instagram's becoming less cool as well. And you've got to be moving with them if they're your demographic.
Yeah, we tend to find that Facebook, we get a lot of the traffic and people who are, my son, my daughter is struggling to pass their theory test, and it's the parent who's messaging us. Whereas TikTok's only something that for the course we've only really pushed heavily for the last couple of months. That tends to be more the actual. It's still, there is still parents on there that are, because the demographic on TikTok is getting older as well.
That's because we try to follow the cool kids.
That's it. I know. My daughter put a song on yesterday, and I was like, "Who's that?" And she was like, "Oh, it's Lay Banks," and I was like, "I never heard of them." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "That's when you know you're getting into that age where you're getting a bit too old. You just don't recognize the music, and you're starting to not listen to the cool stuff anymore." So, but yeah, I mean, TikTok's another prime example of being able to get organic content out there pretty quickly. I mean, we did a video about 2 weeks ago, and again, it got about 9,000 views on the day, which is a decent amount. But then, and that was on the Sunday night, and then on the Thursday, it just blew up. Like, it just went mad, and we got just over 550,000 views on the Thursday. Within 24 hours, we gained 6,000 new followers, and the course sales the next day were amazing. But that was just purely organic because it just took off at that point. It didn't, not necessarily when you do it, but other stuff can do it. And it was the same with that blog post. It did nothing in November and December. January took off, and it's not slowed down. So it might be because there's other blogs have gone on there. The page is a bit more active now, so people go there and then they look at other stuff while they're on there as well, and that's helped it rank a bit higher and so on. Either way,
definitely does make a difference. I think one of the things for people to really take as well from that is it's about finding what people are searching, because if you can find the right keywords to rank for, it's going to make a big difference. Because, there's no point massively having stuff out there that 10 people are searching. If you could write something slightly different and like 1,000 people are searching, and for you, it was interesting because, you've had to really work at padding that out to make it worthwhile. And some people would think, oh, what's the point? Because the answer's 2 days, 2 years or whatever. But people still need to find that information. So if you're able to give them the information and it's going to bring them into your world, it's worth taking the time to pad that out, isn't it?
And I think it's how competitive it is as well. I would imagine there's hundreds of sites that say top 5 reasons you're not passing your theory test. And I can write that pretty easily, but there's a lot of competition for that, and therefore it's harder to rank for that. Whereas other people have probably thought what I thought, which was, well, I can't really, there's not a lot to write about for that. They probably don't even, because they've not looked, they're probably saying, well, people aren't really, the government website will give them that little bit of information. We don't need to give them anything. And actually, I'm competing against a much lower competitive.
If you can find the low difficulty, high search volumes, like, it is so worth your time trying to find them.
Because it's still the same target audience. They're not necessarily, they might not even be struggling with their theory test, but I know that more than 50% of people who go for a theory test every day fail. More people fail daily than pass. Okay, I think the pass rate is about 46%, something like that. So likelihood is 1 in 2 people who go and have a look at that, one out of them 2 is going to fail. So, that they're then the right audience, because then they are struggling. And then they already know.
Like a lot of the people searching that, if you want to learn to drive by, X date when I'm 20, you're going to be looking to go, okay, well, how long does it last? Because I need to know when to do my theory, because there's no point me doing my theory if it's going to lapse. But, okay, so a lot of those people that are searching, some of them may have their theory resolved, but like you say, it's not costing you anything, so it doesn't matter. But the rest of them are timing when to learn, aren't they? And when to do their tests.
The good thing about blogs as well is you write it once, it's done. Paid ads we can get out to a volume of people pretty quickly, but you've got to be tracking it, checking it. A blog, you can write it once. Not every single one's going to be amazing, but you can write it once and it's done. It's just cost me, all that blog cost me was an hour, maybe, of my time. That's it. It's done now. 1,300 people a day for the last 3 months.
That's a really interesting point as well, isn't it? On, like, because I was talking to you before about Google ads. I've done it. I don't review it as often as I should, and really to get the best return on that investment, I should be. And I think small business owners, in wearing all of the hats, we do drop some of those things that we should do, which is great. Why, if they're working with somebody like you, which we need to talk about, then people, you're doing that check-in, aren't you? So you're going to tell people, right, we need to change this because of, X, Y, and Z. But when you're trying to do everything yourself, you can't do that as well. So if you were trying to do it yourself, whether it's Facebook ads or Google ads, some of your spend is basically going down the toilet because you're not doing your data as often as like you would be. But that's why, in a way, some of that, the blogging thing can be quite a safe way of going into getting new people into your world because of, like you say, the low investment to do it. The other thing is, we said it before. I've talked about it in this post I did on Facebook the other day, and you're very aware of it. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. So you're not saying blogging is better than Facebook ads or Google ads and all of this. It's a case of together, you're not relying on just one thing. At one point, a month or so back now, Facebook, suddenly nobody could get in, could they? And, individually, that was a rare event, but individually, you always hear of someone that's been blocked because of something or hacked. And if your stream is coming from it, organically or by ads, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And when it went down, I think I was out for a long time compared to a lot of people got it back sort of that evening. I was out for about 2.5 days, which was a nightmare for trying to manage clients' work.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get in.
Yeah, that's really bad, isn't it? For
Yeah, you never put your eggs all in one basket because you just set yourself up for a fall if that happens. If you're running everything through Facebook ads and suddenly your ad account got hacked, not only have you got the worry of the fact your ad account's been hacked, we've had it with a client, their ad account got hacked. It took about 3-4 weeks to get everything resolved, but that was November, December time, and they're an e-commerce business, which was right in their peak time, and all of a sudden, because basically then when it got reported to Facebook, they just shut the ad account down until they investigated it, which was good because the hackers weren't spending any money, but bad on the fact that then they had absolutely no ads running, and that was where everything came from. Now it's much more, okay, well, we've got Google ads, we've got blogs going out for them, we've got email marketing going out for them. So if one of them does go down, we can just move spend and spend a bit extra on Google or wherever we decide to spend it. So, but going back to one of your points that you mentioned about monitoring the ad campaigns as well and moving forward. So I had a conversation with a client actually about that. And a lot of clients will leave or create the ads themselves. And like you say, they get busy, so they just leave them. And as long as they're getting some results from it and they're reasonably happy with it, they just think, yeah, that's fine. They don't question anything. Actually, you could be getting better results from it. But people are happy until something goes wrong. Yeah. Whereas actually you should be looking at it thinking, could this be even better? Even in my online course business, I remember we were getting a conversion for about £3.50. And I just changed the first sentence. So the graphic's still the same. The rest of the copy was I changed the first sentence and it cut the cost per conversion to half. It was like £1.50 and it was one sentence. But I could have sat there and thought, you know what, I'm happy that we're spending £3.50 every time we get a £30 conversion. That's good. But actually I thought, let's see if we can do better. And we did. You're half that price. You're suddenly getting 2 sales for the price of what you were getting 1 for before. So I'd never think, but like I say, the clients get busy. So then they think, unless, all the leads dry up, as long as something's ticking in, it must be okay. And okay isn't necessarily great.
Yeah, you do get a lot of that, don't you? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And actually, like you say, you're looking more for that continuous improvement on it instead, which is brilliant, isn't it? If you can do that. Throughout your whole kind of journey, I really get that impression of that kind of continuous improvement and that not putting your eggs in one basket because, you did the driving instructor thing and thought, oh, I can do more on this. And then like the course came from it. And, you know, it has evolved, hasn't it, into then this business now and you rebranding in the end away from Chris London Online. What kind of drove you to go away from your name in the branding?
And just the growth of the business, really. So everything was all about me, and personal branding is a big thing. Don't get me wrong, like people buy from people, but you can still be the face of the brand when the brand is not your name. You know, when I set it up, I didn't know where it would end up. So, but then you take on staff and you think, well, hold on a minute, now it's under my name still. We need to come away from that so that we can build bigger. We can get the team more involved in different aspects of it, meaning I can have a holiday every so often. But also later down the line, you know, I've got no plans to sell the business, but you know, what's to say in 20 years down the line that it becomes a saleable asset, which is a lot easier when it hasn't got my name on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that I talk about a lot, and we covered it in episode 4 a little as well with that, because I'm just laughing because at some point we're going to get to this point where I don't know the episode numbers anymore. So that's going to be difficult because I don't know where the conversation goes. But in this case, it was episode 4. And it is that thing, isn't it, that when people do set up, often they use their name. And like you say, people buy from people. So it is beneficial. But as you grow, you do get these sticking points where people I want to work with you, Chris, because you're Chris from Chris London Online. I don't want to work with someone else. And it does make it harder, doesn't it? Whereas once you've got a different brand, they start to accept often the different team members of things. And sometimes it's an educational piece around work with your clients, because I know for me with the engraving business, you know, I've had to very much educate people around, don't email me, because if you email me, only I look at the emails. If you email the actual email address that 4 people are looking at, you're going to get a quicker service because someone else will jump on it. And it takes time because people think they're getting the best service by dealing with the business owner. But us business owners are wearing many hats. So we haven't got the capacity to be working on the client-facing stuff 24/7. And people do expect a fast reply now. That actually, you know, they'd get a better result from the team or a faster result, and it will still cross your eyes at some point anyway.
Yeah. I think it's about, I always plan to still be involved in clients, where they're at and the strategy and that side of things. But I don't necessarily implement everything, but, you know, my team will implement it who have been trained by me. And that's it. The thing is, I never made the mistake of calling my driving school under my name. I always thought to myself when I say it up, no, I want it to be bigger, so I'm not going to name it after me. And then obviously with the driving theory workshop, but then when the social media thing, I just stuck it under my name. So I don't know why.
Project.
Well, that was it. So
you know, that's a true point though, isn't it? You didn't do that the first 2 times, and then you third time said, oh, I'm going to do it about me.
Yeah, it's all about me. So I don't know. Sometimes maybe it was because I was a driving instructor, and being in the driving instructor industry, people knew, and that's who, you know, I started just working with driving schools. They knew me by name. So I don't know. Maybe that just stuck from there. I'm not sure, but either way, we're in the right position moving forwards now, and getting the right team in place to do it. And like I say, I still want to oversee it. There's no way I'd be able to step back and not do anything.
Sometimes you might be at a networking event or something, might you? And you know, you can't be there all the time because you're doing your other things. You might even be, lo and behold, having an accounts day.
You've got no chance of me having an accounts day. Not a chance. That's the one thing that, you know, you always say to people, I think you mentioned it at the start, that, you know, you want a bit of an overview of, you know, if you hand your ads over to us, you sort of want to know a little bit about what to expect. I mean, when we explain it to clients, we try and keep it real layman's terms so that they can understand it as well. But accounts is one of them things that I can never get my head around. I say to my accountant, just keep it really simple, please, just so simple, and I'm the worst on that side of things, I think. So
That's mad, isn't it? Because of your like deep understanding of the marketing side. But it is that thing of, you can't be brilliant at everything. And that is like brilliant highlight for people, isn't it? That get people in that are good at those bits, because then you don't have to be good at everything, because it's
accounts was the first thing. That was the very first thing that was like, we need to get an accountant in, because I do not get that bit.
Yeah, you're like accountant, bookkeeper, these things are getting high on the list here. What do you wish you'd been told earlier, or, what advice have you got for someone wanting to take the leap?
Trust your instinct. I always believed that the driving theory course would work, even though a lot of people told me that it wouldn't. So
I bet that's an enjoyable one now.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's so always trust yourself. You believe it, because you work hard to make it work, because you know that it will. And then that's more sort of business as a whole, but consistency is the thing I rattle on about all the time with regards to marketing in general. Whether that's blogging, whether that's social media posted, whether that's checking the analytics and stuff like that. It's all about consistency, what you keep doing. I know that it's a bit of a cliche, everyone always says it, but if you are consistent and you keep doing it, doesn't have to be perfect. It will.
I really do like that, and it is something I do talk about a lot as well. It is consistency, is the small regular steps, isn't it? And have you got any tips for people around that, in that, nobody can be motivated 100% of the time. So is there anything that you do, any set routines or anything around time management or anything like that helps you when you're not feeling the motivation to do the consistency you say about?
Yeah, have some spare content to one side, because, so for example, I'll tend to find that I went to a stage when I was doing some of the TikTok videos and stuff like that. I'd think, right, okay, well, I'm going to do 3 videos a day, short videos, and I'm going to do it over the weekends, and it'll be fine, because when you got to, it's 1 minute to record it and a couple of minutes, to post it, and then it'd be the Saturday, and you'd be relaxed, and you think, I don't want to go off and record this video. So now we do it on the days where I'm motivated. I think, okay, I'm just going to do 1 extra, and we'll just save it in drafts, because I know that then when that Saturday comes, or if I wake up in the morning and something's happened and I need to deal with it, that I could just click a button and click send, and it's gone out there. So we've always got that. And don't be afraid to reuse some of your old content as well. I reuse some of my old content. There's days where, I haven't got time to write something new. So we'll find something we posted a year ago that's still relevant now. There's nothing wrong with posting that, as long as you're not posting it every week, the same things. But have a little backup bank of content on the days you are motivated for the days when you're not.
That's really good advice, isn't it? Because, people don't necessarily think of that, and they create stuff and it's got to be like posted now. And actually it's that thing of like a lot of what you say is going to stay relevant, isn't it? And your message isn't going to change. So therefore it's ready for that time, isn't it?
Yeah. And we get, this is one of the things with clients as well. They'll have their intention of doing marketing, but because they're wearing many hats, so to speak, they that plumber who's doing his plumbing during the day, and then he does his paperwork and his invoicing and stuff like that, and then he thinks, I need to do my social media post, but he does it at 10 o'clock at night because that's the only time he's had, and then he's not really probably getting the right audience. So actually, you're better off just get something written. You can post it the next day, because everybody has those days where you sit down and you think something drops in your email and you have to drop everything and get on with it. And that might take you all day, or it might take you an hour or so. But if you can just click one button and it just sends something that you've already done, and it's at the sort of a better time than at 11 o'clock at night or something like that, because it's a last minute thought, because you've had to deal with your client stuff first of all.
I think it's a really valuable point, isn't it, as well? And like with the consistency piece on that, because what invariably happens with business owners and marketing, and it doesn't matter which type of marketing it is, it's the same on it all. You get busy and you're doing your thing, you're delivering your plumbing service and whatever it is you're doing, you get busy. So you stop your marketing, or you really cut down on it because you don't have time. And it's not a priority because you're busy, and you can't take on any more work anyway because you're really busy. But then what happens is the work starts to go, because you're finishing those projects and things like that, depending obviously what you do. But you haven't been filling the funnel at the top because you weren't prioritizing it because you were busy. And then what happens is you get the feast and famine cycle, because most stuff, I mean, some ads, depending what you sell, can be very instant, and you could just turn up your ad spend, can't you, to get more money in. But a lot of marketing isn't like that at all. And depending what you sell, even ads might not benefit in that way. So suddenly you've got a bit of a quiet spell and it's more difficult. Plus you're selling out of scarcity, which is harder anyway.
Panic starts to set in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're guilty of this as well. We're guilty exactly the same. We'll work on our clients' marketing, and then our marketing sometimes used to drop off. And so I made a conscious decision that my team would class us as a client. So we are a client of ours. So we have, the lady that posts the content out for the clients, she will post out for me twice a day.
Yeah.
Every single day. I will drip bits of new content in there, but I know that if I've got busy, she's posted once in the morning, once in the afternoon, with a bit of old content that we've used before, or a video that we've got stockpiled somewhere. But because otherwise you do get that. We were exactly the same. I was doing all the marketing for us, and then I'm getting stuck in with client work or going networking and stuff like that, and then it didn't get done, and you think, I'll just leave it for today. Yeah. It doesn't get done because the client work has to go out
as well, and the day off.
Yeah, and then you've just not done anything. So like I say, we made it the fact that we're a client of our own. She posts for us twice a day, Monday to Friday, and I know that there's content going out even if we're not busy, even if I'm too busy, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's really useful, isn't it? And that it comes back as well to that thing that, like, none of us are perfect in whatever we do. None of us are perfect, and it's that thing of setting procedures in your business to catch us when we're not perfect, because it saves the day.
Yeah. It is. It's hard. It is hard to run a business. It's not easy. So
a lot, isn't it? But the rewards from having your own business is massive, isn't it? And like for you get to spend time with your family.
Yeah. So I mean, me and my ex-partner that I've got my kids with, we're not together. So it means that I can have my kids. I can pick them up from school on the days that I have them, because I can be flexible. So I tend to top heavy the days when I haven't got them, so I'll work longer days, so I'll work it into the evening. But then on the days when I have got them, I finish at 1:30, something like that, because I have to drive over to the kids' school, which takes me about an hour. Pick them up from school, bring them back, take them to school the next day. It just gives you that flexibility that you wouldn't have in an employed role.
No, and that's brilliant, isn't it? And it's great that you're sticking to that, because one of the things I find, one of the first things to go for people, even when it's one of the first things they wanted, is the flexibility. People, being in business can be very reactive if you let it, depending what the business is particularly. But, and in my other business, we manufacture bespoke stuff. So it's totally reactive. And that, it's very difficult sometimes to not let that control you, because that was the point of having a business, really, that flexibility. So I'm really pleased.
I didn't, that was one of the biggest things. When the driving theory workshop really took off, and we were getting, like I said, about 30,000 messages a month, I was just glued to the phone. And at the time, like I say, I was going through a divorce, so finances were a bit tight. So it made me think, we need to make sure we're reacting to all these messages. I would just spend all day, all evening answering messages until they were all clear. And it was the first thing I did, when I woke up in the morning before getting out of bed. It was the last thing I did before I went to bed. It was just not so. Even if we went away somewhere, I used to have to stop about an hour after driving, just to park up somewhere, do my messages, then drive on a bit more, then do, because it was scheming. Yeah, and to be fair, COVID and lockdown helped with that, because the theory test centres shut. So, and at that time, that business just dropped because no one's revising for a test they can't take. Yeah. The social media stuff took off, and it made me realise that actually the social media stuff we can do Monday to Friday predominantly. The theory course, I didn't need it to go as high as it is now. So we don't spend nowhere near as much on ad spend now because I know that can take over my life.
Yeah.
And, I can just have that as a nice little side project that I just dip in and out of and that. But yeah, so lockdown did us a lot of favors, both on that side and on this business. Yeah. If you can take a positive from it.
Yeah, and I think that is the valuable thing, isn't it? To take positive from the adversity, because there'll be loads of adversity in business and you've got to take the lessons when they come so that, you can learn from them, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? One of the things I really like to do on this podcast, and it's very convenient because I can see a bookcase in the background, is to give a book recommendation for people that you think it doesn't have to be the one that changed your world in business, but if it is, great, something that you think people could benefit from.
They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan.
Okay. I didn't think I've read
this. This is the best book I've ever read. I'll get it on the shelf now. So the whole basis of it is, he used to sell swimming pools in America, and they were struggling. I can't remember the exact story, but they were struggling. And it very much fits in with blogging, and it very much fits in with this 2-year theory testing. And it very much, and with this is how we write content for our clients and how we advise people to write content. When somebody asks you a question, jot it down. That's a blog. That's a post. Because you get questions all the time. I'll get, how much do I need to spend on Facebook ads to make them successful? How do I get more engagement on social media? Stuff like that. So all those times when people ask me those questions, it's jot it down. Right, there's my post for the next day. And the whole basis of it is, they ask you, you answer it, because then you become the expert. And that's what drives people to your blogs, to your social media, and shows you as the expert. Brilliant book.
That's brilliant. I think there'll be a few additions to the Amazon basket for that one, including...
Yeah, well, they became like a multi-million-pound swimming pool business, biggest swimming pool business in America. They've sold the business, and now he just does that. He's like, the amount of books he's sold and stuff like that, and now he just tours around telling people all about this.
Wow, that might be you one day. Doing the same with marketing.
Say again?
It might be you one day doing the same with marketing.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've got the brain capacity to write a book, though. That's the problem. So, writing a book that...
You keep spreading your book content into regular posts for people instead, which is how people like to consume half the time anyway.
There you go. I'll get somebody else to put it together. So,
that's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been invaluable. And I'll put all your links below so people can come and follow you as well and get into your...
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Many Hats of Business, the podcast. Your support means a lot to me. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with your business friends, as they may find it useful too. If you hit the follow button, you'll be first to know when a new episode lands. See you next time.